QKU, this is KD7ZYM.
If you could hear me talking on Zoom, but apparently you can't. YM, this is KD7QKU calling. Can you hear me, Dave?
QKU, yes, Zoom. Everybody else seems to have a voice on Zoom.
Hear me on Zoom when I talk. Jim, KD7QKU. We hear you on Zoom, Ron. When I was talking on Zoom, that's what I was trying to find out. Thank you.
Good evening, this is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society, net on the 08 machine. I'm Dave, KD7ZYM. Western Washington Amateur Television Society is a group of amateur radio enthusiasts that take to the airways with fast scan television. We have a repeater located up on Cougar Mountain. We transmit on 70 centimeters. It's a crossband repeater. It spits out images at 1.2 gigahertz. Also, to find out more about the Western Washington Amateur Television Society, Google WW7ATS, that's Google WW7ATS. That will take you to our homepage where you'll find out more about the club, also the frequencies that we transmit on, and also there's a link on our homepage for streaming to YouTube for our nets held on Wednesdays and Saturdays between 8 and 9 o'clock. Also, we'd like to thank the SeaTac Repeater Association for allowing us to use WW7STR's repeater 147.08 for our voice transmissions during our nets held for the Western Washington Amateur Television Society. I'll pause now in case anybody has emergency traffic or needs to make a contact before the net gets fully underway. Again, this is Dave, KD7ZYM, and this is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net. Hearing none at this point, welcome to the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net. So far checked in by video link is Ron, KD7QKU, Lee, N7KC, Bob, K9PQ, Richard, K7ITX, Jim, N7QO, and myself, Dave, KD7ZYM, and I see Jessica has joined us, KF7UHK. Is there anybody else that would like to join in on the net? Hearing none, let's go up to the top of the list and get going. Let's start out with Ron, KD7QKU.
Thank you very much. Good evening to the group. This is Ron, KD7QKU. I'm in Tacoma, and I have two computers going here tonight. I have two laptops. Both of them I have a terrible time hooking up to Zoom, and I wasn't sure if either one of them was getting out with audio, but apparently I'm getting out with one of them for sure. So anyway, it's been a fun week really. I put up my 10-meter dipole. It's called an ENS. I bought it some time ago. It's NSAID, and as I told you maybe last time, I hooked it to the lawnmower shed and tied it to the ladder on the motorhome. So it's about 8-10 feet off the ground. And it's been fun. I was talking to this guy. He was someplace in Michigan or someplace. I always liked to brag about their equipment. He had an 80 or 90 foot tall tower and a beam on top, and I don't know, maybe he's running 1,000 watts. And after he gets through, he wants to know what I'm using. And I'm using an old Elanco that I paid $200 for over in Montana, and I got a dipole. I paid $65 for it, and it's about 10 feet off the ground. And he said, "Man, I can't hardly believe that. You're just putting in a fantastic signal back here." Sometimes I don't think it makes much difference what you have. If the van's open, it's open. So today there was a guy on from Japan, from Tokyo, and I was just getting ready to go eat. The van was dead, but I could barely hear him, and he was almost begging for somebody to call. So I answered him. He heard me. He was about a 5'3". I was about a 5'3" to him too. We both said the van was gone and shot, but yeah, I got into Tokyo with it today. I usually don't like to talk to Asians and South Americans because their accents are so bad, and I don't hear very well. And like the guy in Japan, he told me his name, even spelled it for me, but I couldn't pronounce it or understand what he was saying, unfortunately. I will hand it to him. He spoke English really, I think, quite well, and he understood it. He knew my name and my call sign real easy. So anyway, that's been fun this week. Except there was a contest going, and I'm not a big contester, but there was a guy over here by Gig Harbor. I did talk to him. He's over on the Key Peninsula, about 10 miles away from me, and he was just booming in here. Finally, I decided I'd try to talk. The guys were just calling him one right after another. I mean, a terrible pilot. So anyway, I called. I broke through the pilot because I'm close to him. And I said, he said, where do you live? I said, Tacoma. And he said, oh my. He said, we're almost neighbors. I said, yeah. His name was Dan. All right, back to net, KD7QKU.
QKU. Let's go on to Jessica, KF7UHK.
Where it's raining right now. It snowed a little bit earlier today. It's KF7UHK, and I'm glad it stopped. I don't mind looking at it, but if I have to drive in it, not that happy about it. I had a big breakthrough today, and that was one of my other computer, which is the one I usually do all my work on, which is back in the other room. I was having a hard time connecting to the Wi-Fi, even though the Wi-Fi was only like 5 feet away from where I sit. And I'd have to keep on resetting my internal Wi-Fi modem, whatever it's called, to work. And I was kind of getting frustrated because I think I need to go take it in and see if someone can fix it. I don't know if they can. So my fix today was plugging in an Ethernet cable straight into the modem into my computer. Wow, my computer goes so much faster now. And that was a quick, easy, old-fashioned way to fix it. So that's kind of nice. Yeah. And then the last thing is Sylvia is off in Tennessee. I don't know if she's in Nashville, but she's real close. She went to Nashville today. She's going to a digital photography symposium that she paid for, and she's having fun doing that. She went downtown to where she said it was like the size of Chinatown in San Francisco, which is very large, just many blocks of nothing but bars and music venues. 3 stories sometimes, one in the basement, one on the main floor, one on the upper floor, and it was very, very full of music and bars. Right now she's doing dry January right now. I think she does it for 6 months. So she didn't drink anything, but she went around and looked at a few bands and says, so it sounded like a lot of fun. It sounded like Disneyland for people who like music. So with that, this is Jessica, KF7HK.
UHK. Let's go to Port Angeles to Lee, N7KC.
Okay, let's see if things are working. Yeah, all good, okay. I Angeles. And good evening all. Good to see you. Jessica, it's been a long time since I've seen you. And so forth. Kind of batching it, I guess. Ron, interesting story about your radio. Is that a DX70 Allen Co? Is that what it is, the DX70? Yeah, I got one too. I like that radio. I like it a lot. I don't use it a lot, but when I do, it's very nice. Yeah. I normally use, I still have my TS570D, my Kenwood, and I bought a second, one similar to it. It's a TS590, and it's a really, really nice radio. It's a great CW rig, and I use that all the time when the 570 is in reserve standby. And if all breaks down, then I'll go to the DX70. They're all hooked up. All I have to do is I got coaxial switches, so every high frequency rig can be put in the system at a moment's notice just by selecting it with multi-pole coaxial switches. There's a little bit of loss introduced when you do that, but I'll tell you, the convenience and the speed, I guess I just, in a pinch, I might take it out if I had to, but largely it's really nice to be able to switch things like that. I'm progressing. I forgot to start my timer, so I'll quit here pretty quick. My sync restoration job is proceeding very nicely. I see Jim's computer is doing it just like mine was. All it took to fix mine, Jim, was the next upgrade. I bet if you were to upgrade, it'd probably go away. And it's real easy to do, nothing to it. But yeah, I had that problem it was about a week and a half until they finally upgraded the darn thing. And then the problem went away. I never had it before, so it was just one. Well, there's Bob. I see Bob tonight. So anyway, Dave, I'm going to send it back to you. It's good to see everybody in 7KC in Port Angeles.
KC, thanks for that. And for an ID, this is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net on the 08 machine. I'm Dave, KD7CYM. Is there anybody else that would like to sign in to the net this evening? Hearing none, let's go to Bob, K9PQ.
Okay, well, you know what, that's interesting. I now see Ron on YouTube, so maybe it's just very, very slow tonight. I saw him for a moment, and then he was gone again, so I was about to say the reason I don't normally put my image onto Zoom while the net is going. I prefer just to do it through the Grand Stream. It's less confusing to me, but Grand Stream doesn't seem to be working, and I'm not exactly sure. Maybe Ron was transmitting on 440. I'm not sure, but anyway, my background, as you can see, it's a red butter dish that I have, and everything else is in black and white. I was playing around with some of the features of my camera, where you can tell it's only show color for one color. In this case, it was red, so that's what you see there in the background. Not a lot going on with me. I was watching the football games. The first one was pretty good, but the second one, Philadelphia, pretty much ended the game by the half. I don't know if it's literally over yet. It was close when I stopped watching. But Jacksonville Jacksonville, Carolina? No, I forgot. They made a stand. They made a good showing against Kansas City, but Kansas City prevailed. I'm trying some cooking things. A new thing for me. I guess I'll save that for next time. We'll keep it short. I'll send it back to Ned and tell you guys next time about my cooking experiments. Back to Ned. Can I meet you?
PQ, let's go to Richard, K7ITX.
working. Yeah, it's too bad we didn't have anyone to turn on YouTube tonight. That we just have two people that can do that, or three actually. I guess Rob could do it, but he doesn't participate, as much as we do. He just comes to the business meeting. And YouTube is on. What the heck? Oh, well, okay, yeah, it's on. Well, no, wait a minute. You're right, it is on, but why isn't Grandstream going through, other than the fact that, unless it just didn't, Jim said he would switch it to Grandstream, so this is very interesting. So I'm totally bewildered, but I do see Ron showing up once in a while on YouTube, so YouTube is on. I'm just not sure. Maybe Ron could switch us in by pressing number 3. Maybe that's an issue. Ron, if you're able to press number 3, maybe that'll get Grandstream over YouTube. But I don't have those abilities. I don't have the ability to turn on YouTube, and I don't have the ability to switch anything except what I'm doing right now with you guys. So anyway, that's how it goes sometimes. I might have timed it out, and if I did, my apologies. I'll send it back to net control. K7ITX.
7ITX has gone down to Jim, N7QO.
Ron, you're talking on the wrong frequency. N7QO, thank you, Dave. Good evening, everyone. Well, let's see. Okay, yeah, I know I've got the max headroom effect. I see it here. My wife was using the computer earlier in the day, and she said it worked okay for her. She said she had some problems at the very beginning, but then it worked just fine. I tried to do an update on Zoom. I could not figure out any place where it would let me do that. So what I was going to do is uninstall it and then reinstall it, but since it worked okay for my wife, I figured, well, I'll just leave well enough alone. But it looks like it's not well enough. Oh well. Let's see. Ron, 10 meters, yeah. That could be fun. I haven't done that in so many years. I've got an antenna. Well, I've got a couple of antennas that are kind of down now, my HF antennas. Yeah, when I was living in Texas for a while, there was a 10-meter FM repeater located on the World Trade Center, W10J, and that was a lot of fun. But that's no more. Let's see. Jessica, Tennessee. I think they've got some lousy weather moving through there. Hope she took a warm and waterproof jacket with her. And dry January. Did I misinterpret something? Dry January for 6 months? That sounds like more than dry January. My goodness. She's going to be awfully thirsty before that stint is up. Reset. Let's see.
Bob, that's a cool effect, only showing one color. I had no idea that you could do that. I can see that butter dish just plain as day. That makes it perfectly obvious. That's like studio quality stuff. I have no idea how you did that. And let's see, 1.2, well, it wasn't working at all when I first got on here. Then it started working, then it quit working, then it started working, and right now I have nothing on 1.2 gigahertz. But I'll bet it's awfully windy at the repeater. It's okay, now the picture's back. I see someone waving. I see Ron waving at me. It's pretty windy here at the house, and it would not surprise me if we've got some wind at the mountain as well. Back to you, Dave, and 7QO.
7QO, thanks for that, Jim. This is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society, net on the 08 machine. I'm Dave, KD7ZYM. Well, here in Lake City, I've got 40 degrees, sort of drizzle outside, but boy, this afternoon there was a gully washer about 4 o'clock in the afternoon that just really dumped a lot of rain in about a 20-minute period. And that was kind of unusual for the day. But anyway, it's been off and on raining all day. And watched a little football this afternoon, and got into my freezer and I found some tamales, Costco tamales, and had a couple of those for dinner tonight. I guess I can say I'm not celebrating Lunar New Year, but at least I had some tamales. Celebrating south of the border, you might say. But anyway, that was pretty good. And that's pretty much it. Jessica, snow, let's hope not. And Ron with a 10-meter dipole talking to the world. I think that's pretty good. So he's conquered 10 meters. And this is Dave, KD7ZYM. And so let's move it back up to Ron, KD7QKU.
KD7QKU. I'm going to transmit 1.2. I saw Wade on for a second. He's got YouTube working, so YouTube is working instead of 1.2. So somebody needs to switch it. Wade, can you switch it? And I'm getting senile, you guys. I was trying to switch it on the 14708. Richard asked me to switch it, try it, and I was trying like an idiot. This radio does not have the repeater frequency in it. I looked. I'd have to go in the other room and turn that radio on to even try. But yeah, I'm transmitting 1.2. I see just a little glint of color on my forehead. So my big deal this week is that I got this new little radio. My friend sent it to me. It's as big as the palm of your hand. It's what do you call it? It only puts out 1 to 5 watts. It takes 12 volts mostly what he does on, what did you call it, GPRS, you know, the low power. So, the speaker that's in it is fine for CW, but it's not fine for audio. And it has a microphone, so you push a little button, it has a microphone. It has everything you need. And so anyway, I hooked it up to a little power supply, and then I put my earphones on it, and I had it on 40 meters. And it was 7.17760. And I listened to this guy in Sacramento, California. He was running a net, and there was people coming in from all over the United States, and I could hear the majority of them. The band was really good last night. So it's got a good receiver in it. So I'm gonna build a little battery power supply for it. I ordered some stuff, and then I think eventually I'll build another little wire in-fed dipole for it. I'm anxious to get the battery supply built. I want to take it in and hook it up to my 2.77 centimeter vertical. It's, you know, kind of up on the roof. It's got lots more exposure, and see what I can hear on it. You can hear on just about anything. You just can't transmit on anything. So I don't know. So anyway, it'll be interesting to see. So it's been fun to play with that. Just trying to figure out. I did get it, Lee. I did get it in CW once, and I heard somebody transmitting some CW someplace. I forget where I was at. So it does, AM, FM. It does upper sideband, lower sideband. Does CW. It does about everything. And like I say, it's just a little bigger. It's a little bigger than a cigarette package. It's kind of a cute little radio. Sounds pretty good when you got your headphones on it. So that's enough for now. So I've been playing radio all week, so I've been having fun. So back to net, KD7QKU.
7QKU. Let's go to Jessica, KF7UHK.
That's neat. That's a neat looking radio, and Mr. Bob over there just sent us a link so you can take a look and look at it a little closer. Very cool. Very, very neat. I'm only a technician either, so I couldn't do much with it, but it's still fun. I still like listening, and I've got programs that will decode things if I don't want to try to listen to it Morse code and try to figure that out. I'll just let a machine try to decode it, and that's always fun too. That's another just part of the fun of trying to make it work. Let's see. I just had some. Speaking of dry January / February, May, and June for Sylvia, I just had some ice cream with some Bailey's Irish cream on top. So it was like soup when I was done. It was delicious. So I'm not following the dry January. But then on the other hand, I don't hardly drink much. But I do gotta say, I used to smoke a lot of that stuff that you can buy nowadays from local shops, and I don't do that anymore because I drive buses and they drug test you, and so I'm perfectly clean on that now. But I still have, every now and then I have these dreams about having something to smoke, and then feeling very guilty about the fact that, oh no, I just smoked and I shouldn't have because they might just drug test me, and so. I find that really interesting that I still have these, every now and then I'll have this just wild dream that's like, oh, look at all this stuff that I've got, and and I really can't partake, so I don't, and that's okay. I don't really miss it, but I do have dreams, but I find that really fascinating. Other than that, sleeping single in a double bed is what I'm doing tonight again, and probably after that I'll probably go to bed because I'm already getting tired, because that's just the way I roll these days. But I'll probably wake up at about 4:30 in the morning thinking it's time to go to work. This is KF7UHK.
Let's go to B in 7KC.
Okay, this time I punched the button. M7KC Lee in Port Angeles. Well, I'm sitting there acting there, sitting here half dozing on. but I did hear you call me, Dave, thank goodness. Yeah, we went to Squim today for lunch. We went to Burger King at Squim. And I had a fish sandwich, fries, and a drink. Took our 2002 Volkswagen. We've got a, it's called a new Sports Beetle. It was new in 2002. And it's only got 40,000 miles on it. And it's really a lot of fun to take out. So we put that on the road today. I don't know what you have to be before you can get collector's plates. That's one thing you see over here a lot is collector's plates. People are cheating on their license tabs. All kinds of cars got collector's plates on. Funny the car shows. In no way. And it kind of burns me up, really. Because people cheat on that. But they do. I'm sure they probably do it every place. And Jim, let's see. The way you fix that, when the initial screen comes up, where you make a selection for a new meeting or join a meeting or something like that, the very first thing that comes up when you start Zoom, go up in the upper right-hand corner to that dot and just left-click it. And then there'll be a drop-down menu, and it'll ask you if you want to look for updates. And if you do that and it finds it, it will download it automatically if you click that, and then it will install it. Boy, it's as quick as can be. So it's real easy, but it's the first screen that comes up when you energize that app, Zoom. Pick that dot, click on it, select updates, and that's all there is to it. So I'm about out of time, so I'm going to send it back to you, Dave. This is N7KD, Mainport.
Television Society Net. Again, this is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society Net on the 08 machine. I'm Dave, KD7CYM. Coming up next is Bob and Bothell, K9PQ.
Hey guys, so it looks like we're switched in. I'm going to try switching myself over. Richard's got me up, but I'm going to try switching myself in. Give me just a second. Okay, I'm not sure if that took. I guess I'll find out in a moment. Yes, it did. It did. So now you're seeing me directly through my own grand stream. Thanks, Richard, though, for putting me up there. Appreciate it. Yeah, the color effect behind me, that is a little fancy thing built into my camera. I think a lot of smartphones do it now, but I used this kind of camera instead to do that. I was playing around with some of the different features that I don't actually use very often, and that one came out looking pretty nice. We had snow today, so a little bit of snow this morning, so those of you that said snow might be coming, well, it already got to my house, but I did not get the heavy rain or winds. Especially winds would be a problem right now, because I normally keep my antenna down. It's on a tripod and I keep it down, so I don't use guides or anything. When I put it up, it is susceptible to wind, so I have to hope that during this net we don't get any high winds. So yeah, the food. So I started, oddly enough, with a YouTube channel. His channel is called The Butcher Wizard, and he was a former, well, I don't know, chef might be a little too fancy, a former cook, and knows a lot about butchering meat and cooking meat and preparing it, and so I just kind of got interested and got kind of hooked by that, and so what I did was I bought, I didn't bring it in here to show because it's a bit big, but I bought an 11-pound, I'm going to hold my hands out here, something very big like that, 11 pounds of what you would cut into New York steaks, but it's all one big piece. But it's not as easy as just slice it into steaks. That would be nothing. So and in fact, that it shouldn't be. So what he shows very well on his YouTube channel is how to cut out the gristle, how to cut out the fat that you don't want, and get it down to where it's an actual nice New York steak, and then slice it into individual cuts. And it's a lot cheaper that way. I mean, there's a lot of money for that one piece. It was $100 for that piece, but that was at $9 a pound. So figure some of that's going to be wastage. It's still going to be around $10 a pound, probably, maybe a little bit over for New York steak, and that's going to last me a long time. Of course, I'll freeze it and not eat it all at once. But yeah, so that will last me. And I also, one other purchase I made was a carbon steel pan, which is a pan that works like a cast iron pan, but it's not heavy. It's stamped steel rather, so it's not as heavy as the cast iron, but it has similar properties. And you just like cast iron, you have to I forget what that process is called. You have to put the oil in it and then bake the oil in it to season it. That's it. You have to season it. So let me break just a second. That's on my list of things to do. I may do it tonight after the net. I'm kind of inspired. So I have all of this stuff, but I have to prepare the meat and I have to season the pan. And then I've also got this sous vide set up, which will actually cook the meat, and then I'll use the pan to give it the end sear that I want at the end. Jessica, you got me thinking about the Morse code and how you have Morse code readers, and I decided Morse code is the original digital mode. That's what Morse code is. and I'm dreaming about smoking the wacky tobacco. As I think all of you probably know at this point, I am a recovering alcoholic, and it's been like 20 plus years. And it was, fortunately, there was never a big enough problem for me that I had to like swear off I never will have a drink. But I drink maybe 1 or 2 or 3 drinks a year, like on special occasions. And when for the first few years after I stopped drinking, I had those same dreams. It was like I had an alcoholic drink in my hand, and I took a sip, and it's like, what am I doing? What am I doing? So I'm very familiar with that whole deal. And even to the point where, we have dinner parties, and one good friend of mine is Baha'i and has never had a drink in her life. And one of my dreams was with her also drinking and me drinking. And it was so believable that it's sort of like when I went to a dinner party with her, I said, you remember that one time we were drinking? And she was like, what are you talking about? So, anyway, with that, I'll send it back to Ned. K9PQ.
K9PQ. Thanks for that. Let's go to Richard, G7ITX.
That's great. Bob, if you could switch me in, I'd appreciate it. But anyway, what great stories. I mean, your story, Bob, and then Jessica's, and or Lee. Oh my goodness. What I want to say about Lee's story is, I don't know that you have to worry, because I have a feeling someone may have already snitched on these people by now. I've found that to be the case, at least back in the 80s, when I lived in Vancouver, Washington, and worked for a Portland, Oregon business as a project manager, construction manager. I had a company car, and of course it had a Oregon license plate on it, because it was owned by a company in Oregon. But I'm telling you, the state of Washington, that didn't seem to care too much about that, to the point where they even were marked state patrol cars were driving through my neighborhood and even took note of my car in the driveway in Vancouver. They didn't knock on the door or anything, but know what, fraudulent use of Washington roads with a Oregon license plate. None of that was true, and weirdly enough, just about the time when I thought I could get in trouble and maybe might need to make different arrangements, I read and found out that the Washington State Legislature, literally in real time, and I was reading the paper, had just made my situation totally legal, that I shouldn't be bothered. Well, guess what? They bothered me anyway, and literally on my way to work, they pulled me over at the border. Literally pulled me over with the lights, red and blue lights on, pulled me over, and they told me that they gave me a ticket, they had it already written, they handed it over to me. I said, wait a minute, this is the law clearly says I'm not violating, I'm not breaking any laws. Told me that because the law had just passed and it did not include emergency enabling language, that it would not take effect for 60 days. No, 6 months. And that yes, I indeed am in violation, and here's the ticket. Well, I didn't take that as for an answer. I ended up calling the Washington State Patrol and talked to the chief in Olympia, and he assured me that he would send orders out to his men not to do this anymore, and that I will find that my ticket will be dismissed. So no, I have a feeling those people running around license plates, because generally speaking, I think the Washington State Patrol have their people stationed in specific districts for, where they literally live, and they're there for extended periods of time. So I have a feeling that some of these guys will see some enforcement. I mean, heck, I did, and I wasn't even breaking the law. K7ATS, back to net control.
ITX, scofflaw, isn't that the term they use? Oh, I don't know. Anyway, it's good to hear somebody can fight the system and win. Let's go on down the line to N7QO, Jim.
N7QO, thank you, Dave. Well, Dick, quite a story. Oh, man. Yeah, we can't let those Oregonians drive in Washington State. My goodness, that's a real crime. Yeah, I understand if they're trying to screw the state out of tax revenue, but come on, I don't know, whatever. Let's see. Dave, you said something about eating Costco tamales. Isn't that something that you had once before and you said you'll never eat that again? Or is that a different food that I was thinking of? I thought it was the tamales, but I could be wrong. Lee, all the way to Squim, Burger King. Well, I don't know. I don't know if there's a good steak place there or something, but probably by the time you get done paying for all the transport costs, the burger's about all you got money left in your wallet. Anyway, good that you got a little trip out of that. And let's see. As far as updating, Lee, I tried what you said, and it pulled down maybe about 4 different things, and one of those choices was not check for updates or do an update or anything which even implied anything about an update, so I don't know. And having said that, I don't think we have the app. I think somehow I don't know how Zoom wound up on the computer here, but historically this has just done updates all on its own. It will prompt you, say, hey, there's a new update, would you like to install it? And frequently it will pop up, in fact, during the middle of a session, and then we would wait until a Zoom session is over and then do the update. But so I don't know. I'll take another look at that. Thanks for mentioning that. And if I can't find it, I will uninstall what's here and try reinstalling. Also, collector's plates. I should have an answer for that. My wife and I, the last car we had, we kept for 34 years. And I remember thinking someone even suggested that I get collector plates for that. Let me reset. Someone even suggested that I get collector plates for that. So, but I don't know. It's not like we were collecting it. We were just using it as it's bringing me to work every day. So, I don't know. But I don't think it's all that long, maybe only 25 years or so. And let's see. There's a, hold on, let's see. Yes, yum. Okay, back to you, Dave, N7QO.
7QO, yes. Costco food, enchiladas, what I had was Costco enchiladas that were like bad news. Anyway, for me, I was very disappointed. The tamales are made by a Mexican firm without the Costco label on it. It's a different brand, and they carry that. They got them in pork and beef, and so I chose the pork, and they were rather delightful. And that's how that goes, but I did get a warning on my phone this morning that said snow approaching, and I looked out the window and all I saw was rain, and I couldn't believe it. But then I was on the phone with my brother about 20 minutes later. He's in West Seattle, and he says, it's snowing here. So a little snow came down there, but it didn't show up here in Lake City. And I guess Bob and Jessica both managed to see a few flakes come down in their area. So it's not everywhere. And Ron with a 10-meter dipole, oh my. And you might check the ARRL. I believe they did do some banding for some other people with a technician's license, that there was some other CW frequencies that you can work on 80 and 70 meters, 70 meters, 75 meters and 80 meters. You have to check with them and find out the frequencies that you could use, but you can get on with that. And let's see, Bob with his steak cutting, I think that's pretty cool. I was reading somewhere not too long ago saying the best deal to get for steaks is to buy a big hunk of meat like that and cut your own steaks up, and that would reduce the price of the steaks about 50% in price. So it sounded like a pretty good deal. Anyway, with the steel plate that you're going to cook on, I think that's pretty good. But I also had read that most of the woks that the Chinese use, Chinese woks, is all steel, and so it might be a little cheaper to get a wok, but they don't have a flat bottom. So anyway, that was kind of an interesting thing. So that's about it from Dave, KD7CYM in Lake City. So let's go back up to the top to Ron, KD7QKU.
KD7QKU, I don't know, Wade, if you're listening, I could, if you switch me in, I could do 1.2. But anyway, so I'm on YouTube, so it doesn't matter, I guess. or if I wanted to have it appraised, I could, then they would accept the appraisal. Well, I didn't know any appraiser, you know. So anyway, they said, well, they told me it was a classic. And I had never thought about classic license plates. So I got classic license plates. Or I got classic license for it. It was a one-time thing, and supposedly, it seemed like, I remember looking it up, you weren't supposed to drive it to work every day, and you weren't supposed to pull a trailer with it, I believe. But, so I got 69, the year 69 license plates for it, and I got the year 69 sticker for it. So, anyway, and I was driving around Bellevue, and I got stopped by the Bellevue police, and he was going to write me a ticket for not having a current license. And I said, no, wait a minute, you don't understand. I have, the classic license. It's a one-time thing. And he said he didn't know anything about that. So I said, okay, well, before we get in an argument, you write me a ticket, let me get my registration out, okay? So I get my registration out, and it's registered as a classic car, and it's registered with the plates that are on it and the tag that are on it. So I told him he needed maybe to do a little checking on that. So he did not write me a ticket, but he wasn't too sure about it. So anyway, so it's a one-time fee, and I can't remember. It almost seems like the cars only have to be 25 years old. Unlike Jim, for some reason, I almost think that rings a bell. You can look it up and see, but they're pretty easy to get on an old car, and it's like I say, it's a one-time thing, but it's more than the normal license. It seemed to me like it was $200 or $300, but I'm not sure now. So let's see what else. I have, two computers tonight because I was using one of them for QRZ. I wanted my other laptop's up on top of the cabinet. It's not easy to type on, so I went and got a TV tray and brought out my other laptop, and I have it here beside me so I can go to QRZ and type in somebody's call sign and see their picture and where they're located, see how far they are from me and stuff. It works out pretty slick. Okay, enough of that. I think we're running out of time. So back to net, KD7QKU.
QKU, thanks for that. Let's go to KS7UHK, Jessica, on the road with the railroad.
We do special things when we come to railroad tracks with buses full of people. One is we stop before the line. We have our four-way flashers going. We open up our door as if to stop, look, and listen, close our door, and then proceed over the tracks with our four-way flashers until we're completely past it. And that was knocked into our head very deeply when I was training. So when I come to these railroad tracks in my normal car, I always think about that. Do I need to stop? No, I don't have to. But I have the feeling I need to because it was hammered into us. And if you accidentally go across in a bus while you're in training and you forget any of that part, they let you know very, very precisely. But I got to tell you real quick about pulled pork and making pulled pork out of a pork butt roast that I got from the store once. It was probably 2.5 pounds, and it wasn't very expensive. But I put it on our barbecue, with charcoal briquettes, just salt and pepper, and just rotated it and made sure it got kind of braised and darkened a little bit on all corners, and then you wrap it up in foil. You sit it on the back burner and let it sit there and cook very slowly for about an hour or two, and it turns into pulled pork, and you fork it off of there, and it's delicious. And it was so easy to do. And if you want some sauce on it, it goes good with sauce, and it goes good without sauce. So that's it for me up here in Everett, KF7UHK. Eat good.
KF7UHK. Let's go to Lee, N7KC in Port Angeles.
Okay, Lee, N7KC here in Port Angeles. Yeah, well, I just looked up the regulations on collector's plates. It has to be 30 years old, at least 30 years old, and the cost for an automobile, the cost of the plate is $100 and a few pennies. And apparently that's the only cost you ever put out for plates for that car. And for motorcycles it's $75, and for trucks, I don't know, it was $95 or something like that. So that's it. The truck, it cannot carry a load. It can't use to transport anything. And if it's a car, it's supposed to be used for parades or car shows. And that plate is to allow you to drive that vehicle to that show and back or the parade. And that's it. And I'll tell you, you see them over here. I see them, I bet I see one a day if I'm out. You know, and they're obviously being used for routine automotive use, right? And I've only turned one in. The first one I saw, I was so disgusted, I got the number on, turned it in. Now, it turns out that you can use what are called restored plates if it's the same year as the car was manufactured, and you can get tabs for that year. Then you can use those plates and put it on and drive it, and it does not say collector's vehicle. So you would have no way of knowing if you saw something like that. But that's the only case you can do that, if you can manage to get, and they cannot be reproduction plates. They have to be the original plates restored in the original condition that they were dispensed in, with the tabs that were current for that time. And okay, well listen, nice nap, 73 everybody. I appreciate seeing you and so forth, and it's been a lot of fun for me. So Dave, I'll send it back to you. This is N7KC, Lee in Port Angeles.
Thanks. Well, let's go to Bob, K9Q, and Bothell for a final. Pan humor.
You know, trying to do two things at once is a little too hard for me, I guess. I was showing off the pan and forgot to get on the air. Okay, so let me see if I can manage this. So, pan, the blue finish on it is one that they put on at the factory to protect it in shipment. I did wash the pan, which you're supposed to do, and then only the first time you use it, just like with a cast iron, to get whatever protective thing they put on off of there. And now I will season it. That's weird. It's not focusing on me for some reason. I don't know what's going on there. That's very weird. My camera went crazy and is not focusing on me anymore. There we go. That's better. Anyway, this will work like a cast iron pan, but as you can see, it doesn't look like a cast iron pan. It is stamped steel. In fact, it looks very much in construction like a wok. As Jessica was saying, woks, I think, are this same carbon steel material. And I just, so was similar, I suppose, to buying a wok, but it gives me a nice a much bigger flat surface for searing the steaks and for any other cooking I want to do. What else? I have made a few notes. Buses and trains, yeah, I certainly am aware of that. I think most of us have been in school buses where we've had to stop at the trains. And one thing I learned much later, after I was out of school, I think, is that one of the reasons buses are so safe is that all of the children and the driver are above most things that would hit it that might damage the vehicle. But of course, that doesn't apply to trains. So that's why you have to be extra special about trains, because that is one thing a bus cannot outdo. Yeah, thanks for the info on the collector's plates, Lee. My vehicle's 20 years old right now. I don't know if it's going to make it to 30, but if it ever does, I might do that. Well, it'll never be a collector's vehicle, so I guess I can't do it for what I would want to do it, is just to drive around with. I think I'll stick with my hand plates. And you're already way ahead of the game. even though I'm not in King County, I'm close enough to Seattle that I'm considered to be in the zone, and it is a huge fee tacked on for all of the rapid transit stuff. Okay, I am putting us after, am I? Okay, back to that, K9 PQ.
PQ, thanks for that. Got your 7-3. This is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society, NET. We'd like to thank the SeaTac Repeater Association for allowing us to use WW7ATS repeater 147.08 for our voice transmissions for our nets held on Wednesdays and Saturdays. So on behalf of the Western Washington Amateur Television Society, this is Dave, KD7CYM, signing off the net at 9:01. Good evening all.